I misspoke in my response video to Billsy Bob. In there, I said I sent you a message, and I said I'll go ahead and even read it. But that's not fully true because I sent a message and made a video and sent it to him. I think it was titled I now have I have respect for Billsy Bob. Um, and I forgot to address and he didn't say it was me that came up with that idea, but he said that since I'm a Christian, I might believe that there is a reason for everything. Again, predestination, Calvinists, small fraction of Christians, although it has seeped into pretty much all the evangelical stuff you see on TV. Uh, so, with me going out there to wring his neck or whatever, okay, there was some miscommunication, but again, I must reiterate, I was not. He says that I was frustrated because I thought he was targeting the Orthodox. No, it's because he said, this is a statement, I said Christian, not Orthodox. And he was saying what the concepts that he was addressing exist in a minority of Christianity that's unknown to the non-English speaking world. If I were to make a video, my challenge to Christians, why let me think of something. Hold on. My challenge to Christians. Why do your churches have to listen to the ecumenical patriarchate in Constantinople? Most people would say, well, that has nothing to do with Christianity. It may be a challenge. It's incorrect. I mean, even the wording, the ecumenical patriarchate doesn't rule over all of the Eastern Christians, but it would only be addressing the Eastern Christians, and still it would be misunderstanding them. And the question would be misrepresentative because you'd be implying that they already do when it's kind of like, well, when did you stop beating your wife? But you didn't do a bad question like that. You actually asked good questions, but you had addressed them to all Christianity. You addressed it as Christianity. The 2,000 long thing, the thing that has been going on for 2,000 years, right? The Crusades, were those done by the Christians? Because if they count, then you've got to count the Christians in the East too, where the Crusades were perpetrated against many times, and look at the whole history of it, and not say, well, what I know about the Christian message is that we're all born in sin. We're all God has all judged us sinners worthy of eternal torment and torture, and He sent His only Son down to die, to be tortured and killed for our sins our punishments that we would have received. He took upon our sin, and believing in Him, we are saved, and we are exempt from following the law. We should follow the law out of our own goodness of our own hearts, but there's really no consequence to it. We're just following out of love. Uh, that idea did not exist 200 years ago. So did Christianity begin 200 years ago? If I were to if I were to say this, why do Christians believe that Jesus was a blood sacrifice for them and paid their debt so that they could be saved, so that they could be saved and know salvation and go around and try to get other people saved? Well, 3/4 of Christianity doesn't and never believed that. Actually, 100% of Christianity didn't believe that until the Protestant Reformation. Because the Roman Catholics, which is 1 billion, and Eastern Orthodox, which are a half billion, totally reject that. And you're addressing it to the Christians. If I were to address the Muslims, why do you pray to these dead holy men in Pakistan to intercede for you in front of God? Most Muslims would say that's shirk. That is shirk. There's a huge majority that follow it. If you attack the Ahmadiyyad, also called the Ahmadiyyad, um, and say, why do you believe that this man who lived 100 years ago was the return of Jesus Christ, and that he destroyed Christianity, and that he was also the Mahdi? Why do you believe that? Well, most Muslims would say, again, that's shirk. That can't be believed by a Muslim. You experienced a form of Christianity that exists pretty much entirely in the English-speaking world. Unfortunately, because of America's power, it's starting to spread and things are starting to get translated. But you addressed a religion, a term that covers uh, 2 billion people, but your question only applied to about 50 million of them. Do you see? Is that a shorter version of it? And morality is I mean, that's a category created by us. That's a mixture of feeling, just like religion is a made-up word. Confucianism, is that a religion or a philosophy? Well, it's classified as a religion. Taoism, Buddhism. Buddhism doesn't have a god. Doesn't have an afterlife. The reincarnation bit, there's the popular form in America has the reincarnation bit, but which Americans know basically the Tibetan form. But the reincarnation was the reincarnation of the karma. The soul dies. Boom. Gone. Gone to oblivion. It's the goal. Well, how does Taoism and Islam, what do they have in common? What are the Amish and the Jains and the Catholics and the Aztecs that would slice people open and hold up their heart to the sun? Because to them that wasn't religion. There wasn't religion, that was science. That was something that was needed to be done. You could say they were a-religious. They were atheistic almost. They would have their minor cults where they would pray to the gods, but the function of the state was to keep the sun to rise. They convinced people unless we do this, the sun won't rise. It wasn't anything about faith, or it was just a function. Didn't matter if you were bad or good. It had nothing to do with the moral code. Again, moral codes. They will always change from culture to culture. That's why this idea of a strict moral code. That's why, guess what? The only people who follow the Torah are the Jews. Because unless you're a Jew, you're gonna look at them and be like, what is? stone your kid for talking back to you? A man was gathering a bundle of sticks on the Sabbath and somebody stoned him? That's moral? For the Jews it is, because morality came from following what Moses said. But it wound up changing, because that's what religions wind up doing. During the Maccabees said, well, we can't fight on the Sabbath, and they almost got eradicated. So then they said, we're going to fight on the Sabbath in order to protect. There was no command from God. You argued against Protestantism, which I was happy for, but you addressed it to all of us. To to the entire population of America. Why is it that you all have red hair and can't go out in the sun for more than 5 minutes without getting a sunburn? Well, there's a hell of a lot of people with red hair that burn very easily in America. Massive. Only because the amount of Americans, there's a lot of us here. That wouldn't apply to me. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't apply to you. I haven't seen your hair, but I'm pretty sure it's not bright orange. And you don't burn in the sun after 15 minutes. Uh, James at Pandora's Box probably does burn out in the sun after 15 minutes, but he doesn't have red hair. Uh, I mean, the question was inappropriate. It was set up as, I mean, I don't like to throw this word around, but it is a straw man argument, because you're addressing Christians and you're using a very Americanized uh, theology that is very modern. If you can show me anywhere for the first 1500 years of Christianity where anything like that was believed, that you didn't have to follow a moral code. There's a prayer book that got translated in English uh, that is exactly what they believed in the year 700 AD. And I can show you the 7 deadly sins, 7 heavenly virtues. Uh, Asking for God for forgiveness, you don't seem to have a problem with, if He exists. But you have to do something to get it, right? It's a penance. The lack of penance in Western Christianity is a new thing from the first time Christianity reached Rome and then southern France and Spain. Penance was a cornerstone of Christianity, and it wasn't seen in any other religion. It was new, specific to Christianity, at least in the West, because in the East we still had there was too many different sects. But penance in the West was major. Why didn't you address that? Because you didn't see anybody practicing penance around you. Because in America, for the last 50 years, and only beginning 50 years ago, was penance not a concept, or was a concept that was made to be forgotten. because it wasn't palatable to most Americans. But if you go back throughout all time, every work in any Western language but Christianity, I guarantee you, penance, that word, in whichever language will come up. Hey Christians, why is it that you always pray to the Virgin of Guadalupe? That would actually encompass a wider swath of people than the question you asked. You didn't target people. You did the exact opposite. I mean, it was like a shotgun burst. It's like you pick up a bunch of rocks and I want to hit those two guys right there, and you whip them. A bunch of pebbles, and it hits like 100 people. And 99 people get pissed off. He's, whoa, 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 I didn't throw those at you, I threw those at him. But they hit us. No, they didn't. I mean, that, no, I didn't. Is that a defense?